What is the condition of hinge of the door in the house?
Nice selection. Creaky and rusty is the correct and valid answer.
Where does the ghost said by the speaker's brother hide? Huh?
On track. Under the rotten floorboards is the correct answer.
According to the hermit, the most important time is dash.
Nice work. You chose now, and it is correct.
The person the king saved and helped was his enemy Dash. Bravo! True is the answer. The king covered the wound of bearded man with his dash.
Perfect. Handkerchief is the correct choice.
Who is the author of the story? The 3 questions.
Well picked. Leo Tolstoy is the correct answer.
Whom did the king decide to consult or ask for advice?
Right choice. A hermit is the best answer.
Did the hermit answer the king's questions immediately?
Correct response. No is the most accurate answer. When the king approached the hermit, the latter was Dash.
Great thinking. Digging earth is the right choice.
Let me take the spade and work in your place, said Dash.
Good job. Your answer, king, works well here.
The king thought if he knew all the 3 answers he would.
You're right. Not fail at anything is the correct answer. The king wanted to know the answers of Dash questions.
Strong choice. 3 is the right answer.
Some of the wise man advised the king to go to the Ash.
Smart pick. Magicians is the correct choice.
King saw a hermit digging the Dash in front of his hut.
Right again. Ground is a valid answer.
The king finally thought of seeking the advice of Dash.
Well reasoned. A hermit is the correct choice.
If we finish our work quickly, we can go to the movies.
Clear logic. Your choice adverb is sound and 100% true.
The Dash will decide what's best for the organization.
You got it. Your choice, counsel, is right.
If I leave, I will serve you as your most faithful Dash.
Correct. Servant is the right answer.
Who wanted to know the right time to begin everything? Excellent choice. The king is the right answer. The king and hermit found large Dash bishop by removing cloth.
Valid point. Wound is true.
Dash says that Middu will never learn playing violin.
Well done. Ravi is the right choice.
She looked Dash when we visited her at the hospital.
Nicely done. Frail is a solid answer.
Through which tool was the hermit digging he earth? Smart move. Spade is an accurate answer. The king wanted to know answers to 3 question 2. Solid response. Avoid failure is a valid choice. What was the name of the king who ruled the country? Excellent. In Makmot is a brilliant choice. Who did the king send to look after the wounded man?
Sharp thinking. Servant is the right choice.
Where does the squirrel run when children chase him?
Good thinking. The other way is the right answer.
Which of the following does the boy save in a storm?
Great job. Panda bear is the accurate answer.
What does the word proclaimed mean in paragraph 2?
Exactly. Announced publicly makes sense and it is right choice.
What is the most interesting feature of a squirrel?
You chose his bushy tail, and it is correct. Who is the main character in the 3 questions? Nicely done. A king is a solid answer. King appointed him as one of the dash of his court. Good job. Your answer, Chief Minister, works well here. Many learned people came to the court and gave dash. Nice selection. Different answer is the correct and valid answer. What did the hermit say the most important time is? Smart pick. The present is the correct choice.
What event leads Nikolai to find the injured panda?
Right again. A storm is a valid answer.
Where did the king go at last to find his answers?
Well reasoned. To the hermit is the correct choice.
Who was able to answer the king's 3 questions?
Nice work. You chose hermit, and it is correct. How did the wise men answer the king's question? Solid response. Wisely is a valid choice.
As the answers were so different, king was not dash.
Smart move. Satisfied is an accurate answer.
One thing we learn from the life of an ant is dash.
Great thinking. Discipline is the right choice.
Who wanted to find answers to the 3 questions? Valid point. King is true.
The wise men's answers to the 3 questions were
Exactly. Different makes sense and it is right choice. Identify what kind of sentence it is. I am hungry. Great job. Declarative sentence is the accurate answer.
the words tease and play used in the poem are
Sharp thinking. Verb is the right choice.
Name some other creatures that lives in anthills.
On track. Greenfly is the correct answer.
Who wanted to know the answer to 3 questions?
Good thinking. A king is the right answer.
The most necessary person is the person with dash. Clear logic. Your choice U is sound and 100% true. Who came running towards the hermit and the king?
You chose a wounded man, and it is correct.
What is the name of the turtle who helps the boy? Correct. Leo is the right answer. Where is the shed located in the speaker's house?
strong choice. Bottom of the garden is the right answer.
What was the hermit doing when the king reached? Well done. Digging ground is the right choice.
Whom did the king first approach to get answers?
Perfect. Learned men is the correct choice.
The hermit listened to the king but did not dash.
Excellent. Speak is a brilliant choice.
In paragraph 5, the meaning of counsel is dash.
Well picked. Group of advisors is the correct answer.
Dash are the small patches of ground for plants. Right choice. Beds is the best answer.
A person who lives alone and leads a simple life.
Correct response. Hermit is the most accurate answer.
How many questions was Asher expected to answer?
Excellent choice. 3 is the right answer. What genre does the 3 questions belong to?
Bravo, short story is the answer. Why was the king not satisfied with the answers? You got it. Your choice, they all were different, is right. Each and does it works intelligently and bravely?
You're right. True is the correct answer.
The most important business is to do the person.
Perfect. Good is the correct choice.
The person gave the king an instant answer, dash.
Nice selection. False is the correct and valid answer. History, question 3. When did Mahatma Gandhi die? Well picked. 1948 is the correct answer. Choose the correct describing word for window.
Solid response. Dusty is a valid choice.
The king was not satisfied with the answers as.
Valid point. They all were different is true.
Geography, question 3, 37 Celsius equal to. Great thinking. 98 Fahrenheit is the right choice. In cunning and deceitful or manipulative manner?
Exactly. Slyly makes sense, and it is right choice.
What answers did he get for the third question? You got it? Your choice, all of the above, is right.
The lesson, the 3 questions, was written by.
Smart pick. Leo Tolstoy is the correct choice. Whom did he decide to meet to get the answers? Excellent. A hermit is a brilliant choice. What efforts did the king make to get answers?
Correct. Announced a reward is the right answer.
Whose chapels were given to the music master?
Nicely done. G-pop Mally's is a solid answer.
Name author of the lesson, the 3 questions. Right choice. Leo Tolstoy is the best answer. You do not know me, but I know you, is said by. Good job. Your answer, bearded man, works well here. Ants have hundreds of rooms, also known as dash.
You're right. Passages is the correct answer.
Question 2. Their answers to his questions were? Right again. Different is a valid answer. The king was dashty with the answers he received. Bravo. Not satisfied is the answer. Where does the king encounter the wounded man? Sharp thinking. Near the hermit's hut is the right choice. Ants allow other creatures to live in ant hill. Great job. True is the accurate answer. Who does Nikolai find shivering in the forest? Good thinking. A baby panda is the right answer.
Who did the king want to answer his questions?
Nice work. You chose a hermit, and it is correct. What lesson does the turtle impart to Nikolai? Clear logic. Your choice, Lev, in the moment is sound and 100% true. Man wonders that the smallest creature is the... Well reasoned. Wisest is the correct choice. Who came to the king to answer the questions? On track.
Many wise men is the correct answer.
What does Leo say is the most important time?
Strong choice. Now is the right answer.
What is the setting of the 3 questions? Well done. A forest is the right choice. How do you say in French? What is your name? Correct response. Your name is the most accurate answer. They use dash to communicate with other ants.
Smart move. Feelers is an accurate answer.
The other insects that visit anthill are dash. You chose green flea. And it is correct. Which thing the king took in front of Hermit?
Excellent choice. Spade is the right answer. If you dash to go out, I dash dinner at home. Nice work. You chose don't want, I'll cook, and it is correct.
Forgive me, said the dash in a weak voice.
Well done. Beard is the right choice. How was the man who came running to the hut? Right choice. Bearded is the best answer.
From where the bearded man come running out.
You got it. Your choice the wood is right. The most important thing to do is to do dash.
Right again. Good is a valid answer.
What does Nikolai do to help Leo the turtle? Strong choice. He digs the garden is the right answer. In fact, the bearded man was the king's dash. You chose enemy? And it is correct. I will be waiting for you at the front dash. Smart move. Porch is an accurate answer. Sonia the heron can best be described as well picked. Confident is the correct answer. The shape of the squirrel's tail is like an excellent. Interrogation mark is a brilliant choice. They will dash thorough search in building.
Sharp thinking. Undertake is the right choice.
To whom did the king dress the wounds of? Great job. The bearded man is the accurate answer. Poet is grateful for his eyes because dash. Good job. Your answer to C works well here. How do you say in French? My name is Dash.
Perfect. My name is the correct choice.
How do you say in French? I live in Hobart. Correct response. I live in Hobart is the most accurate answer. What did the man ask for after he revived? Exactly. Something to drink makes sense and it is right choice. You have already been answered this, said by Smart pick. Hermit is the correct choice. Geography, question 1. Which is the biggest? Nice selection. C is the correct and valid answer. The king sent dash throughout the kingdom. Solid response. Messengers is a valid choice. Bearded man hand was struck against dash. On track. Stomach is the correct answer. What is the meaning of the word wounded? Correct. Severely wounded is the right answer. Which word in the poem rhymes with seek? Valid point. Peak is true. The king put ordinary clothes to meet dash. Well reasoned. Hermit is the correct choice. When did poet plan to go inside the shed?
Excellent choice. No specific day is the right answer.
Choose the correct spelling from the poem.
Good thinking. Cracked is the right answer.
Many wise men answered the question dash.
Clear logic. Your choice differently is sound and 100% true.
The hermit usually spoke to everyone dash. Great thinking. False is the right choice. Who gives different opinions to the king?
Bravo. Wise persons is the answer. How do say in French? Where do you live? You're right. Where do you live is the correct answer. Whom did the king and hermit saw running? Nicely done. A bearded man is a solid answer. According to you, what is more important? Nicely done. Theory plus practical is a solid answer. What did the king use to wash the wound?
Nice work. You chose fresh water and it is correct.
Where did the king go to see the hermit? Good job. Your answer, his cave, works well here. Finally, the king decided to meet a dash. Right choice. Hermit is the best answer. Ridu is a young girl growing up in Dash. Exactly. Madras makes sense, and it is right choice. The king was Dash by different questions. Great job. Not satisfied is the accurate answer. What did the bearded man ask the king? Great thinking. Forgiveness is the right choice.
I left my shoes under the kitchen table.
You chose preposition, and it is correct.
Chemistry question 3. The nucleus contains.
Bravo! Protons and neutrons is the answer. Most of the people thought Gopal to be. You're right. A madman is the correct answer. Grateful for the dash for simple task. Smart move. Hands is an accurate answer. The bearded man wanted to dash the king. You got it? Your choice, kill, is right. The story 3 questions is written by Sharp thinking. Leo Tolstoy is the right choice. How many questions occurred to the king? Solid response. 3 is a valid choice. The queen ant has a lifespan of nearly.
Good thinking. 15 years is the right answer.
The king reached the hermit's cell dash. Excellent choice. On foot is the right answer. The king turned around and saw Dashman. Perfect. Bearded is the correct choice. I bought a beautiful dress at the mall. On track. Adjective is the correct answer. What did the king help the hermit with? Strong choice. Farming is the right answer. Which insect is known as the ant's cow? Well picked. Green fly is the correct answer. How many questions did the king ask? Well done. B. 3 is the right choice. On Saturdays, I work from 9 to 5. Valid point. Verb is true.
Who wrote the story? 3 questions.
Smart pick. Leo Tolstoy is the correct choice. The king brought dash for bearded man.
Correct response. Fresh water is the most accurate answer.
If we dash all this cake, we dash sick.
Nice selection. Eat or feel is the correct and valid answer.
The prefix of the word correct is dash.
Right again. In is a valid answer.
His hand were pressed against his dash. Excellent. Stomach is a brilliant choice.
The young ones of ants are called dash. Correct. Grubs is the right answer. The hermit used to see no one but dash.
Well reasoned. Simple people is the correct choice.
Here comes someone said dash.
Clear logic. Your choice, hermit, is sound and 100% true.
The ants greet each other by touching.
Correct response. The antennae is the most accurate answer.
Who finally answers King's questions?
You're right. Hermit is the correct answer.
What is the meaning of considerate?
Well done. Thoughtful for others is the right choice.
The newborn young ants are called as?
Strong choice. Grub is the right answer.
They dash the work for their project.
Solid response. Recommenced is a valid choice. The king sent a ant to look after him. You chose doctor, and it is correct. Who was the injured man with a beard? Excellent. The king's enemy is a brilliant choice. What task does Nikolai help Leo with?
On track. Digging a garden is the correct answer.
Who bandaged the bearded man's wound?
Smart pick. King is the correct choice.
She dash in London if she dash a job.
Sharp thinking. I'll stay. Gets is the right choice.
What was hermit widely renowned for?
Excellent choice. Wisdom is the right answer.
The king was a dashwa and wise leader.
Nice work. You chose kind, and it is correct.
What does Nikolai find in the storm?
Good job. Your answer A hurt panda works well here.
Whom did the king decide to consult? Nice selection. A hermit is the correct and valid answer. The time which is important is dash. Valid point. Now is true.
The synonym of convinced is dash.
Right choice. Persuaded is the best answer.
What did King return to that man? Great job. Property is the accurate answer.
The king sent messenger to know the.
Perfect. Answer for 3 questions is the correct choice. Ants share their work dash and a dash. Nicely done. Intelligently and bravely is a solid answer. The bearded man wounded by the dash.
Well reasoned. King's bodyguard is the correct choice.
Dash fainted and fell to the ground. Bravo. Bearded man is the answer. Hermit was widely known for his dash. Right again. Wisdom is a valid answer. How many questions King want to ask? Great thinking. 3 is the right choice. What is the meaning of threshold? Well picked. Entrance is the correct answer. The wounded man came to attack Dash.
Correct. The king is the right answer.
Squirrel. Poem is written by Dash.
Good thinking.
Mildred Bowers Armstrong is the right answer.
The king went to see the hermit in.
Exactly. Simple clothes make sense and it is right choice. Which word best describes Nikolai? You got it? Your choice, inquisitive, is right. Where is the spider's web hanging? Smart move. Across the door is an accurate answer. Who answered the king's questions? Clear logic. Your choice, hermit, is sound and 100% true. Only one time that is important is correct. Now is the right answer. What answer did the wise men give? You chose to consult a magician, and it is correct. Who has written the poem The Shed?
Nice selection. Frank Flynn is the correct and valid answer.
What is the synonym of straight?
Great job. Erect is the accurate answer.
Which color is a squirrel's coat?
You got it. Your choice, gray, is right.
A cruel ruler with absolute power. Correct response. Despot is the most accurate answer. Which time is the most important? Strong choice. Present is the right answer. What is the synonym for repented? Bravo. Regretted is the answer. The jobs of workers needs first. Sharp thinking. Training is the right choice. What does a squirrel like to eat? You're right. Nuts is the correct answer. Leo Tolstoy is the writer of Dash.
Clear logic. Your choice, 3 questions, is sound and 100% true.
The most important business is 2.
Good job. Your answer to do good works well here.
What did the bearded man ask for? Excellent choice.
Forgiveness is the right answer.
Queen Ant lives about Dash years. Well picked. 15 is the correct answer. The noun form of dictates is dash. Nicely done. Dictation is a solid answer. What type of man was the hermit? Right again. Wise is a valid answer. Did the wise men win the reward?
Smart move. No is an accurate answer.
Gopal wished to fulfill the dream. Exactly. Of the king makes sense and it is right choice. Whose wounds did the king dress? Great thinking. The bearded man is the right choice. What is the antonym of foolish? Solid response. Wise is a valid choice. Who is the author of this story? Right choice. Leo Tolstoy is the best answer. One of them is not a type of ant. On track. King is the correct answer. A covered entrance to a building. Good thinking. Porch is the right answer. Hermit gave the dash to the king. Valid point. Spade is true. What is the most important time? Smart pick. Present is the correct choice. Did the king save the attacker? Well done. Yes is the right choice. The squirrel sat up straight too. Perfect. Eat nuts is the correct choice. The king dressed the wounds of. Excellent. The bearded man is a brilliant choice. How are the hinges in the shed? Well reasoned. Rusty is the correct choice. Superlative degree of good is. Nice work. You chose best, and it is correct. The questions asked by King was. Correct. Different is the right answer. The ants keep dash for honeydew. Exactly. Greenfly makes sense, and it is right choice. An ant's home is called as dash. Smart move. Anthil is an accurate answer. What is the meaning of forgive? Sharp thinking. Pardon is the right choice. Gogol can best be described as. Perfect. Carefree is the correct choice. Creaking sound came from dash. Solid response. Violin is a valid choice. Worker ants spend time in dash.
Correct response. Collecting food is the most accurate answer.
Who had come to meet the king?
Nice selection. 3 explorers is the correct and valid answer.
The cat was a descendant from. Good job. Your answer Pallava dynasty works well here. Passive form of word tell is. Good thinking. Told is the right answer. Ashley worked for the Pentagon.
You chose true, and it is correct.
Why did the king dig the beds? Smart pick. To help the hermit is the correct choice. Question 2, the bearded man was. Clear logic. Your choice, the king's enemy, is sound and 100% true. Did the king get his answers? Well picked. Yes is the correct answer. Rishikat's statue is in dash. Valid point. Mahabalipuram is true. What is mean by court jester? Well done. Entertainer in a court is the right choice. What do you mean by puzzles? Nice work. You chose confused and it is correct. The ants use their feelers too. Well reasoned. Talk and greet is the correct choice. Ants communicate through dash. Bravo. Feelers is the answer. What does Nikolai want to be? You got it. Your choice, a good person, is right. Who had hurt the bearded man? You're right. King's bodyguards is the correct answer. The most necessary person is. Right again. Who is with you is a valid answer. Advisor to the king or queen. Nicely done. Courtiers is a solid answer. Who got ready to help Asher? Right choice. Archil is the best answer. What was Asher's profession? On track. Landlord is the correct answer. Dash wounded the bearded man. Excellent. Bodyguard is a brilliant choice. You have already been Dash. Excellent choice. Answered is the right answer. Whom did the hermit receive?
Great thinking. Common folks is the right choice.
The antonym of faithful is strong choice. Disloyal is the right answer. Who wounded the bearded man? Great job. King's bodyguard is the accurate answer.
What is mean by promptly?
Excellent. Quickly is a brilliant choice.
What did she ask you to do?
Correct response. They suggest is the most accurate answer. Who should the king dash to? Nice selection. Listen is the correct and valid answer. Opposite of word, wound, is. Exactly. Heal makes sense and it is right choice. The synonym of forgive is
Great thinking. Pardon is the right choice.
ran is which form of verb?
Good job. Your answer second works well here.
Dashan has pair of wings. Nicely done. Queen is a solid answer. Ashley's dream was to work. Excellent choice. As a spy is the right answer. The bearded man asked for. Correct. Forgiveness is the right answer. Where did the hermit live?
Well picked. In a distant forest is the correct answer.
Who is the main character?
Great job. A king is the accurate answer.
An advisory body of people. Clear logic. Your choice counsel is sound and 100% true. Following is an ant's cow. Solid response. Greenfly is a valid choice. Baby ants are called Dash.
You're right. Grubs is the correct answer.
What does drenching mean?
Sharp thinking. Completely soaking wet is the right choice.
Who was the wounded man?
Perfect. Enemy of the king is the correct choice.
What does Leo represent?
Valid point. Wisdom and intelligence is true.
The hermit lived in Dash. Smart move. Wood is an accurate answer. Snooze means dash, sleep. Nice work. You chose short and it is correct. Author of this lesson is... You got it. Your choice count Leo Tolstoy is right. Who had 3 questions? Right choice. The king is the best answer.
The hermit only met Dash.
Well done. Simple people is the right choice. Who was the bearded man? Well reasoned. King's enemy is the correct choice. Name of the cat is Dash.
Smart pick. Mahendran is the correct choice.
The king's reaction was strong choice. Justified is the right answer. Author of the story is
On track. Leo Nikolaevich Tolstoy is the correct answer.
the Dash and lays eggs. You chose Queen Ant, and it is correct. The eggs are guarded by... Bravo, soldiers is the answer. What is mean by quiet? Good thinking. Silent is the right answer. I am Dash to Gulbaga. Right again. Going is a valid answer. Synonym of feeler is... Right again. Antony is a valid answer. Forgive me, said by. You got it? Your choice, wounded man, is right.
Dash came to the king.
Correct. Wise man is the right answer.
An ant's life is dash. Well-reasoned.
Peaceful is the correct choice.
Cunning and deceitful. Sharp thinking. Devious is the right choice.
The king dug the beds.
Bravo. To help the hermit is the answer.
Patty means grand dash. Great thinking. Mother is the right choice. Queen lives for dash.
You're right. 15 years is the correct answer.
Full name of cat was
Strong choice. Mahendravarma Pallava cat is the right answer.
Hermit was very dash. You chose C both A and B, and it is correct.
Midu lives in dash.
Good job. Your answer, Madras, works well here.
The hermit was dash. Smart move. Old and wise is an accurate answer.
How was the hermit? Good thinking. Old and weak is the right answer. Where do ants live?
Solid response. And Thiels is a valid choice.
Dash is ant's cow.
Nice work. You chose green flay and it is correct.
Take away by force. Clear logic. Your choice confiscate is sound and 100% true. Commit oneself.
Smart pick. Undertake is the correct choice.
This book is dash. Well picked. Fiction is the correct answer.
Weak and delicate. Valid point. Frail is true. The ants live in. Excellent. And Thil is a brilliant choice. Soldiers live in. Nicely done. Burrows is a solid answer.
And is used as.
Well done. Conjunction is the right choice. Barak is dash. On track. Room for soldier is the correct answer.
Who was Gopal? Perfect. King's courtier is the correct choice.
To begin again.
Right choice. Recommenced is the best answer.
Who was Akio?
Nice selection. Court jester is the correct and valid answer.
Faithful equal to. Great job. Loyal is the accurate answer.
Wounded equal to.
Excellent choice. Severely injured is the right answer. Forgive equal to. Correct response. Pardon is the most accurate answer. Awoke equal to.
Exactly. Got up from sleep makes sense. And it is right choice.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format?
Bravo. Contact Narayan Changder on Facebook is the answer.